Tonight, the horror.
He shot my friend that was next to me.
Congressional testimony from the Uvalde fourth grader and mass shooter survivor who covered herself in her dead classmate's blood. Plus, high heights. The price of gas already at an all-time high, jumping another 4 cents in a day. And wildfire ministry.
We literally left with clothes on our back.
Local churches come together to support the victims of wildfires in New Mexico. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. An 11-year-old Uvalde survivor shares her harrowing story with lawmakers. Good evening in Washington, D.C. I'm Jenna Browder. An emotional day on Capitol Hill today as we heard testimony from survivors of the Uvalde, Texas school shooting that left 19 children and 2 teachers dead. We also heard from survivors of the Buffalo grocery store shooting. The pressing issue of gun violence confronting lawmakers directly. Following the story, CBN's Abigail Robertson, who joins us from Capitol Hill. Abigail?
Well, Jenna, many of those personally affected by the recent tragedies called on Congress to take action. And House Democrats hope today's testimonies will lead their GOP colleagues to support gun reform laws so change can happen.
I left my daughter at that school, and that decision will haunt me for the rest of my life.
Kimberly Rubio, whose daughter Lexi died in the Robb Elementary School shooting, called on Congress to ban assault rifles, raise the purchase age to 21, and implement red flag laws.
Somewhere out there, there's a mom listening to our testimony, thinking, I can't even imagine their pain, not knowing that our reality will one day be hers, unless we act now.
11-year-old Mia Cerrillo gave a first-hand account of what happened inside her classroom and how she managed to stay alive.
He shot my friend that was next to me, and I thought he was going to come back to the room, so I grabbed the blood and I put it all over me. And
what did you do then when you put the blood on yourself?
Just stay quiet, and then I got my teacher's phone and called 911.
Not all victims at the hearing believe the answer is legislation.
10 more laws, 20 more laws, 1,000 more won't make what has already illegal more wrong or stop criminals from committing these crimes. And y'all are delusional if you think it's going to keep us safe.
Lucretia Hughes, who lost her son in 2019, argued that the gun control laws already in place do not work.
Gun owners are not the enemies, and these gun control policies are not the solution.
Republican Senator John Cornyn acknowledges some changes should be made and hopes to get a bipartisan bill passed in the Senate.
I think a focus on mental health and criminal background history is probably going to be the most productive.
Democrat Senator Chris Murphy, who's working with Cornyn, says the Senate needs to act now.
We are this week extending a hand of partnership to our Republican colleagues, but we are not going to settle for a piece of legislation that just checks a box.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer hopes to pass bipartisan gun reform legislation soon, but only if they believe it will have an impact and save lives. Jenna?
All right, on Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, thank you very much. Well, these recent mass shootings have lawmakers looking at red flag laws, and the two sides could be moving toward agreement. Senior Washington correspondent Tara Merchner has that part of the story. Tara?
Jenna, with the shock of Uvalde still so fresh, senators from both parties are hoping for agreement on a legislative response. It includes incentives for states that pass red flag laws.
The charge led by Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut.
We have another Sandy Hook on our hands.
And Texas Senator John Cornyn.
We need to do a lot more than we have done in the past.
A red flag law would permit police, family members, medical professionals, and others to petition a state court to order the temporary removal of firearms from someone believed to be a danger to themselves or others. According to a recent Justice Department report, people who commit mass shootings are nearly always in a state of crisis at the time of the attack and often leak their plans.
About 80% of mass shooters in some way broadcast their intentions in advance. They tell people they know, or they talk trash on the internet.
Red flag laws already exist in 19 states. Most of those passed after the 2018 mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida. The state has used the protective order nearly 9,000 times since then. Unlike most gun measures,
it doesn't prevent crime.
More Republicans appear open to red flag laws.
There are more Republicans at the table talking about changing our gun laws and investing in mental health than at any time since Sandy Hook.
In 2019, former President Trump pushed them following shootings in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio.
That is why I have called for red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders.
Red flag laws have become an increasingly effective tool in preventing these shootings, as well as suicides and deadly domestic violence.
Red flag law, we know those things work.
Experts agree, however, they're not foolproof. New York's law did not stop a shooter from killing 10 people at a Buffalo grocery store last month. Nor, some insist, would it have stopped the Uvalde school shooter. Donnell Harvin, a senior policy researcher at Rand Corporation, says a federal gun registry would help keep people from falling through the cracks.
If one state has a red flag law and an individual purchases a gun in another state and then moves to that state, there's not necessarily a trail that this individual owns a gun. So while they may be flagged as an individual who needs support, maybe crisis type of support from a psychosocial standpoint, that may not necessarily come up in any database per se that they own a gun.
Research suggests red flags do make a difference. According to one study, for every 10 to 20 firearms removed in Connecticut, a life is saved. In California, there have been at least 21 cases when a red flag law disarmed people threatening mass shootings. Skeptics, though, remain on both sides, with gun rights supporters arguing they punish law-abiding people.
The order has to be issued, but still, this is a gun confiscation law.
And the ACLU insisting the process must be fair to those affected.
Regardless, whatever measure the senators come up with needs to overcome 60 votes to avoid a filibuster and get a vote on this bill. Jenna.
All right, yep, that's a tall order. Tara Mergener, thank you very much. And with that, let's bring in Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. Tony, welcome. Always good to have you on the show. Let's start right there with red flag laws. As a former congressman yourself, do you think red flag laws could be at least part of the solution here?
I think we can talk about these policy issues. I think red flags might be a solution, but I think we got to go beyond that. These are dealing with symptoms. I think we got to answer the question, why is this happening? You know, we've had guns available for decades, and now all of a sudden we're seeing this rash of violence in the last couple of decades. I think it's not so much what's in the hand, but it's rather the void that's in the heart. And I think when we look particularly at the school shootings, you know, we've expelled God from our schools and evil has gone to the head of the class. I think we've got to step back and say, what is it that's driving these young men to do these, to commit these heinous crimes? I think we have a moral void in this country, and we have to have the bigger discussion about bringing God back into our society, into our schools, and recognizing that there is right and there is wrong.
Yeah. Yesterday we heard, actor Matthew McConaughey at the White House talking about restoring family values, restoring American values. Tony, I want to talk to you tonight also about the January 6th committee. Tomorrow they will begin their primetime hearing. It's going to be a televised event, partly produced by James Golden, the former president of ABC News. Tony, is there pressure on these lawmakers to produce some kind of revelation or wow moment?
I think this is like a Democratic mini-series. I think it's more about trying to find something that they can attach themselves to that's working. Their policies aren't working. You know, inflation is up, gas prices are up. The American people are totally dissatisfied with the government, the leadership that we're getting from the Biden administration. And so I think they're grasping for straws. I actually think, Jenna, that this could work. This could actually have the opposite effect of what Democrats are hoping, because I think people are going to see this for the ruse that it is and say this is just more heavy-handed Democratic government trying to drive a narrative that will benefit them.
Yeah, and we should mention there are 2 Republicans on the committee, but those Republicans were not appointed by Kevin McCarthy. So Republicans will be.
It's not a bipartisan effort.
Yeah, they'll be making that point for sure. One of the goals of this hearing, Tony, seems to be to cool the Trump fever that's within the Republican Party. Do you think this can do that?
No, I think. Look, when you look at, we just did some polling recently to see what are the issues that people are concerned about across the board. The economy, hands down, it's the economy. Every time someone goes to fill up their car or their pickup truck and they're having to lay out $100 just to fill up their car, they go to the grocery store and the price of basic items have tripled. That's the issue people are focused on, and they're looking at the policies of this administration. That's why I think this could backfire on Democrats, is that they're pushing this narrative, but that's not what people are watching right now. They're more concerned about the violence in the streets that the Democrats don't really particularly care about addressing, and they look at the prices in the cost of living that's skyrocketed under the policies of this administration.
All right, Tony Perkins, president of the Family Research Council. Thank you so much, Tony.
All right, Jenna, always good to be with you.
Well, turning to the Supreme Court, an armed man threatening Justice Brett Kavanaugh was arrested near Kavanaugh's Maryland home early this morning. The 26-year-old was found with a gun, a knife, pepper spray, and burglary tools. Nicholas John Roski told police he was there to kill Kavanaugh. According to the FBI affidavit, he was upset over the leaked Supreme Court draft opinion and recent shootings and traveled from California to carry out his plan. Roski has been charged with attempting or threatening to kidnap or murder a U.S. judge. Growing food insecurity in America, what it could mean for you and your family. Next on Faith Nation.
Before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire. Monday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Thursday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
another record-setting day for gas prices in the United States. The cost for a gallon of regular now $4.95. Prices jumping 4 cents from just yesterday.
We now have 14 different states where the average has already surpassed that $5 a gallon mark and seeing some tremendous increases.
And the national average for gas is up nearly 30 cents in just the past week. From fuel to food, the war in Ukraine is causing a global food crisis. The United Nations warning shortages in food supplies could last for years. As Charlene Aaron reports, it's an issue the United States needs to be prepared for.
As prices continue to rise on everything from gas to groceries, experts warn food is going to be harder to come by in the months ahead, including here in America. There are those who say the church can lead the way in helping people through the tough times. Globally, more than 276 million people experience extreme food insecurity, pushing closer and closer to famine.
Places like Somalia, for example, 90% of their wheat exports come from Russia and Ukraine. Wow. In Egypt, 80%. And so it's real.
In the U.S., over 13.8 million people already suffer from food insecurity. Right now, about 65% of the 200 food banks in the Feeding America network are seeing a greater demand for food assistance. Heather Taylor of Bread for the World says the problem is likely to affect already vulnerable populations even more.
Here in the United States, about 13 million children presently are experiencing hunger. And as food prices go up, as you've stated, as inflation continues to increase, gas prices, it all has a compound effect.
Pastor Joshua Giles of Kingdom Embassy Church in Minneapolis has been warning of a coming food shortage for several years. He writes about it in his book, Prophetic Forecast, Insights for Navigating the Future to Align with Heaven's Agenda.
When we crossed over from 2019 into 2020, the Holy Spirit spoke to me about a decade of shortages. And in a vision, I walked into a store in this vision in my time of prayer, and the shelves were completely empty.
He points to the biblical story of Joseph as an example of how the church should respond to the crisis while preparing to help others.
I do believe that we can start to purchase certain things and store them up. I'm not encouraging people to panic buy at all. But what I'm saying is just use the wisdom of God. And when we read about Joseph in Scripture, he endured one of the greatest famines in history. And the Lord gave them strategies and insight on how to navigate that famine.
John LeBlanc of Cedarville University offered advice on practical ways to prepare.
They need to stock up on foods that are not going to spoil, canned goods and packaged goods and so on and so forth. And anything they can to put in the freezer.
If power goes out, he suggests investing in a generator and extra gasoline. Giles says spiritual preparation is also vital.
I would encourage every believer to take this as an opportunity to draw close to Jesus Christ, to make sure that we strengthen our relationship with the Lord.
A sentiment LeBlanc shares.
We as Christians know it's all in the Lord's control, but that doesn't mean you just ignore it.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Thank you, Charlene. Victims of the New Mexico wildfires share their dramatic stories. Plus, meet the heroes helping them after this.
Want to be a part of a community that inspires your spiritual growth while winning prizes? The all-new MyCBN app. Connect with the community for prayer and encouragement. Track and set spiritual goals. Enjoy conversation starters with friends and family. And collect points to win prizes. The all-new MyCBN app. A great place to belong. Download the app at cbn.com/mobile.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
Young people, millennials, are flocking to church.
It's not an exaggeration to say that we love to meet them and that we love to know their stories.
A mega drought out west has jump-started the 2022 wildfire season. Flames have already consumed more than 1 million acres in New Mexico and other states. One mountain town has lost more than 200 homes. Heather Sells shows us how local churches have come together to support the victims.
At one point, winds from the McBride fire gusted to 80 miles an hour. That left precious little time for Ruidoso residents to seek safety.
We literally left with clothes on our backs. We had nothing but that.
I was going to pick up my daughter from school, and when I got there, there was no smoke, and within 15 minutes, I saw houses on fire.
The winds were some of the worst that we've seen up here.
The fire forced Pastor Todd Sullins, his family, and thousands of others to evacuate. Some 200 families, like James Paxton and his wife, lost their homes.
The quick-moving fire simply gutted some neighborhoods like this one, where a dozen or so homes are simply gone.
The disaster also led to a ministry response citywide, thanks to pastors who've held weekly prayer meetings for years.
We have come to know each other and trust each other.
In the early chaotic moments, those connections led to quick, easy communication and effective outreach.
Because we have that trust, everybody just kind of gets in our lane.
Duncan and other members of Gateway Church initially focused on getting the most vulnerable out of harm's way, including one man who was sleeping.
He's 90 years old, and he did not know there was a fire.
Later, they collected clothing and water for fire victims. Community United Methodist opened its doors to evacuees.
It's just making sure that people had the basic necessities, a place to stay, a place to eat, and a place to stay safe.
Sullins opened First Baptist Ruidoso to hundreds of disaster relief volunteers. Their focus, cleaning up properties destroyed by the fire.
To even know where to begin is just overwhelming to people. And so that's just a basic need that we can come in and help them begin to get their footing.
The trained volunteers come from states near and far and help those who've lost most or all of their possessions. They sift through ash for prized items, clear all manner of debris, then cut and haul away charred trees.
The ministry here goes beyond clearing debris and trees. It is also about sharing Christ with those who are open to it.
And I see that love softening hearts, for the gospel. And so people are getting real tender. People are tender right now.
Since the fire, more than a dozen have given their lives to the Lord. Those serving here say moments of great need often lead to new understanding.
And they will suddenly realize that maybe they're not in the level of control that they might have thought they were. And so sometimes when you're flat on your back, the only way you can look is up. And so they are open to discussions about spiritual matters.
Even though he lost his home, James Paxton, a longtime disaster relief volunteer, says he wants to give back and has cleared debris along with other volunteers.
We're out here not just picking up ash and other things, but trying to show people what God's love is.
A spirit of unity exists here, as well as a spirit of thankfulness, as many realize what could have happened.
We could have lost thousands if the wind would have been a different direction. And just the gratitude that we have here, right? I mean, I have 3 people in my church that the fire got up to their doorsteps.
There will no doubt be more communities this year going through a similar experience. More than half of the country's lower 48 states are in drought, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor. That will likely pave the way for an extended fire season and potentially other natural disasters. In Ruidoso, the pastors are already preparing for flooding.
When you get a half an inch or an inch of rain in a canyon that won't soak in and it's just coming downhill, it's going to be a challenge.
If the bond among the churches here is any indication, Ruidoso is ready.
The community of Christ here is united. We try our best to work together. It's not us versus other churches, it's us working together for the good news of gospel.
Reporting in Ruidoso, New Mexico, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Still ahead, from the Southwest to the Wild West, a high-speed chase like none other.
Are you suffering from feeling tired or worn out during the day? Can you not turn off your brain at night? You are not alone. Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, and I've partnered with the Christian Broadcasting Network, and we're going to bring you some unbelievable information that you can use tonight to get a better night's rest.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Protect Your Sleep today.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living Tuesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man, come.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes too, and so much more. Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Finally tonight, cowboys are used to wrangling cattle, but a recent assignment was less than ordinary for some Oklahoma herders. When a group of cows got loose, one went rogue, taking off down a busy highway. The escapee dodged traffic before it was forced onto a service road by emergency crews, where the cowboys then took over. One tossed the lasso and hooked the cow around its neck, and a second lassoed its feet, bringing the wild chase to an end. And we will leave you with that scene tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening.